Hey, Merry Christmas. It's a little bit late for me to be recording this, but I've had the idea for a couple of days, and I kind of wanted to get it out. So, what I want to talk about today is, if you've read the title, you probably already know kind of what it's about. There was recently a debate between, let me get their names, Joe Heschmeyer and Jacob Hanson. Joe Heschmeyer is a Roman Catholic. He works for Catholic Answers, and he has his own YouTube channel called Shameless Popery. I'm more familiar with him than Hanson. I actually had not heard of Hanson before this debate. Being a Catholic myself, that seems to track. But Jacob Hanson is a Mormon, or as he would probably prefer to be called, a Latter-day Saint. Um, and they had a debate on the Great Apostasy. Now, I didn't watch the whole debate because they lost Joe Heschmeyer's audio and tried to recover it, and it was very hard to listen to. So I focused on the post-debate discussion that Joe Heschmeyer and Cameron Bertuzzi had on capturing Christianity, as well as a follow-up discussion that Joe Heschmeyer and Hanson had on Cameron Bertuzzi's channel, basically going over certain allegations, such as Heschmeyer saying that Jacob had lied, which I think maybe have just been a bit. It was inflammatory language that I don't think Joe meant to be taken the way that it was. But anyway, it was about the Great Apostasy. Before I watched anything about this debate, though, Trent Horn, a Catholic, and another Mormon named Hayden Carroll had their own little discussion. This discussion was had on Trent's channel, Council of Trent, and going into this debate, or at least what I saw about the debate, with the information I learned from Hayden Carroll, it framed an argument that Jacob Hanson made in a way that I think actually goes against the LDS claims and any claim they can make at all. Especially about if Jacob Hanson's claim about the Great Apostasy is what they believe, which Heschmeyer seems to believe are not. But if they are, that would negate their entire proof for the Great Apostasy, and even call into question whether they themselves could have their own apostasy, because they claim they can't. But to frame it in a better way, it would actually show there is no distinguishing between a great apostasy or no great apostasy because of the claims being made, and I will show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to start off with Hayden Carroll's claim. Sorry, I sometimes stumble over my words. I'm going to just quote him exactly. This is the most concise point I could see him explain this. So it's pretty short. I'm not putting a video up. I'm just going to say what he said. So Hayden Carroll said in his discussion with Trent Horn, "We don't believe that any source is infallible. We don't believe anything that touches the person, goes through the human mind, can be infallible. We just reject that as a blunt fact. Nothing that goes through the human mind can be infallible." That he claims that as a Mormon belief, not a personal belief of Hayden Carroll. This is what Mormons believe about infallibility. And he cites the fact that it would have to take away free will to allow that to happen. For something to be infallible, it would have to take away a person's free will, because it would basically be God using them as a puppet, I think is how he was viewing it. He didn't use that analogy. That's just me putting words in his mouth, and maybe I shouldn't do that. But kind of in summary of kind of what I took from this, and if he's watching this, which I doubt, but if he is, also welcome. I'm glad to have you here. I would love to have a discussion with you in the comments, I'm sure. um, um, I'm going to try and explain to the best of my abilities the full extent of this belief, in basically this belief in its full extent, about how I understand it. I could be wrong about this. I've been wrong about things before. That's why I'm just doing my best to see if this is what he means. I think this is what he means. If so, it will connect to Jacob Hanson's claims, and I'll show you that in a little bit. I'm going to stop saying that because I've said that a lot already. All right, so no human can be infallible except Jesus Christ himself. Not Jacob. Carol said that only Jesus is infallible. It was kind of in passing, so maybe with more words he would change his opinion on that, but not even the scriptures are infallible because they passed through humans before being written down. This is another claim he made. This includes the books within the Book of Mormon. I just realized after I said that. This is not word for word what he said. This is my explanation. Not even the scriptures are infallible because they passed through humans before being written down. This includes the books within the Book of Mormon, as the website for the so-called Church of Jesus Christ states. Like the Bible, the Book of Mormon has many authors. Human authors when I check them. And to add another layer to this, Joseph Smith, a fallible man, according to Carroll, translated the Book of Mormon, supposedly written on golden plates, by a gift and power of God, also claimed by the LDS website. That sounds like passing through the mind of a human to me, and translations are just as prone to error as creating an original work. And then to add on to this, every teaching that every apostle within the LDS Church has taught is also as up to future debate as everything in the Old and New Testaments and the books in the Book of Mormon. And Joe Heschmeyer brought this up at one point. I don't remember which video this was on. It wasn't the original debate. That there was a time when black people weren't not allowed to be part of a certain, what is it, an order of something within Mormonism, but then they reversed that later on. That would be an example of something. But my claim isn't that they do change their teachings. It's that the potential is there, and they even recognize that. They say that none of their, prophets or apostles are infallible. But I'm claiming even what Joseph Smith translated would not be infallible. Their foundational beliefs are also not infallible because they had to pass through a human being to get to them. So like any claim they make, every claim Mormons have is up to debate. Whether it be about the Trinity being three gods or about the nature of the afterlife, all these things are up for debate. And honestly, I can't see any way for any aspect of it to not be up for debate because of this claim that everything that passes through the human mind is fallible. Because I can't see how it could get to us without passing through a human mind, even my own mind, when I hear it. But regardless of that, just remember that every source that goes through human mind is fallible. That's important to remember. That's what I want you to take from that. That's what Mormons believe according to Carroll. Now, going to the Joe Heschmeyer versus Jacob Hanson debate, Jacob Hanson claimed, I don't have a direct quote because it was kind of scattered a little bit, but I kind of condensed it into what I think is what he meant. Again, Jacob Hanson, if you're seeing this, again, I doubt it. Please correct me if I misrepresent your view. But I think you said this multiple times. Joe Heschmeyer also tried to explain it in a way that to make sure he understood it correctly, and I think this is accurate. I think this is right. So Jacob Hanson claimed that true apostolic authority means that one has the authority to teach in a way that's binding to the faithful and be given new revelations by God. So they can teach in a way that's binding to the faithful and can be given new revelations by God. They do not include infallibility in their understanding of authority, which is not the only way we understand authority either as Catholics. Not every authority has to be infallible, so I can understand that. But they don't have infallibility in theirs at all. So Jesus' authority given to the apostles was a binding authority on the faithful. They teach it, you must do it or believe it. I think believe would be a better way of it. And they must be able to receive new revelations from God. According to Jacob Hanson, or the Mormon faith, I guess. His view of the Great Apostasy was this. And again, Joe Heschmeyer seems to have an issue with this being a belief of all Mormons or even the Mormon Church. But Jacob Hanson seems to believe this is a pretty standard belief, if not the standard belief. I think I noticed a couple times, it seemed like he was a little bit iffy at one point, but then it seemed like he felt stronger in this belief when he looked into it on like the LDS website or something like that. But his claim about the Great Apostasy is this: due to apostasy within the time of the apostles and after, and potentially other reasons, but apostasy I think was one of the reasons that I saw him give. The authority Jesus gave to the apostles was taken, which resulted in schism and doctrinal drift. This resulted in schism and doctrinal drift. If that authority had remained, there would have been no schism and no doctrinal drift. And that is actually a claim he also made at one point. Like, if we can see throughout history that there was no doctrinal drift, then we could say that the Great Apostasy did not happen. So it seems like those are connected in his mind. And I don't know if you've made this connection yet, you, the listener, but I don't see how there couldn't be any doctrinal drift within Mormonism without infallibility either. Even with the authority to teach, that authority is not without error. So I would question how doctrinal drift would be prevented within Mormonism without going to Hayden Carroll's claim that it requires I guess it would require God to basically take away free will from somebody to allow it to happen, to have infallibility. Because without infallibility, doctrinal drift's inevitable. It's inevitable. Because every time they teach, there's going to be their human mind corrupting it in different ways. It's inevitable. It's the same exact thing as, it's not the exact same thing. So their claim would be that we don't receive revelation. We don't teach based on that revelation. Even if we saw something true and we explained it incorrectly, it would still be more correct than somebody who didn't see it and tried to explain it. So I could see that. But still, after a certain amount of time, even if you see it clearly, you just have people keep explaining it badly, incorrectly, over time, because of the human mind and how it's corrupted, and it can't explain things perfectly because once it goes through there, it gets messed up. It's not the fullness of the truth. You're gonna drift. You're gonna drift with time. It's not gonna stay the same. So in my mind, the claims about the Great Apostasy don't make sense under the Mormon framework of no source of infallibility. Because at least in Protestantism, they can say the Bible's infallible. They can't say how the Bible's infallible. They can just say, we know it's infallible. That Bible doesn't move. As Catholics, we can believe that, how has it been explained? We have sacred scripture, sacred tradition, and the magisterium. Those are our three things of infallibility. But within Mormonism, with no infallibility, again, I can't see how there's no doctrinal drift there unless God himself was their apostle, which they don't believe, understandably. So that's just kind of that's what I got from this after watching Hayden Carroll and him present that as a Mormon belief about no infallibility at all when humans are involved. That kind of framed Jacob Hanson's claim about the Great Apostasy in a way that, to me, once again, kind of, it could refute all of Mormonism. It could refute all of any claim of not having doctrinal drift. And I think even within Mormonism, I think they do have schism. So they can't even get away from the schism claim. So it didn't seem like a good explanation of what the Great Apostasy was. Yeah, honestly, it might have been stronger just to claim every church authority apostatized and started teaching falsely. And if they claimed that their apostles did teach infallibly, then that would completely avoid this whole issue. But they don't teach that. So it just seems like it's doomed to fall into that that logical conclusion. And again, this is just my understandings of it. This is me trying to put two things together. I could be completely baseless here. I want to hear from all of you. Am I missing the mark here? Does this not make any sense? Because again, I might be explaining it poorly. Did I misunderstand Jacob Hanson and or Hayden Carroll? I'm definitely biased. I'm Catholic, so I have a reason to want to refute Mormonism. So there could be a little bit of that. And Hayden Carroll was right. Nobody can be completely unbiased. I believe he's the one who said that. Sometimes I get people mixed up in my head. Yeah, thanks for listening. Tell me down below. I want to hear. How did I mess up? What did I say wrong? Tell me why. Don't just say you're wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. I want to know, because if I'm wrong, it harms me to be wrong. It harms me to be believing something false, especially about other people. I need to believe true things about other people, not false things. So it harms me and it harms my relationship with other people. And I think we should all try to correct each other, and we should all be happy about that correction. I'm not always too happy about that correction, so bear with me. Thank you for listening. I will hopefully catch you later. See ya.